This is Dolynny TV, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another edition of Edmonton Oilers discussion here on the channel today. And well, it's not Edmonton Oilers discussion today. How about that? You know what? Let's not discuss the Oilers, because we're waiting on one thing essentially this week. We're waiting for that big move, whether it be a non-roster piece that we didn't really think we'd be moving, kind of like anybody but Milan Lucic or Jesse Puljujarvi, or whether it be Milan Lucic or Jesse Puljujarvi. That's kind of the two main names we're waiting to move this week. It's been hinted maybe a couple times around the circles of Oilers media that this is the week we see the move. Obviously, we signed another player yesterday in Josh Archibald. So, okay, well, something's coming. We're getting near the contract cap. Something has to happen. That's kind of what I'm figuring. But right now, there's stuff happening elsewhere for the Edmonton Oilers. Keith Gretzky. Oh, yeah. You remember that name? He didn't disappear. He didn't just vanish into thin air. No. He's down there working in Bakersfield, building a team around the young core down there to develop the Oilers prospects even better than they already have at this point. So with that, we're going to go venture down and talk about the Bakersfield Condors today and see what's up with them, because they keep making a couple of player moves every single day this week by the seams of it. That's how it's gone, so good to see. That's kind of what ends up happening, though, once you get into the second, third week of July, is the guys who were after NHL-rated contracts start ending up, well, you know what, maybe it's go and earn an AHL spot, and then you go and earn that NHL contract halfway through the season or something like that. And, I mean, every year a couple of guys do it, so it's not a bad route. And today's guy that did that was Anthony Peluso for the Edmonton Oilers. Peluso ended up being with the Calgary Flames last year. He fought Milan Lucic in Calgary. I watched the fight live. Really, yeah, it was all right. But he's now signed an AHL level deal with the Bakersfield Condors, so he goes from the Stockton Heat to the Condors, which means he makes some enemies in a team that the Condors already have a lot of enemies in, if you know what I mean, right? It's all that Ontario division pretty much for the Pacific Division, and that one is a tight contest any way you cut it down there in the AHL from what I figure. So with that, let's go see if I've got the right stats up. There we go. That's the goaltending depth for the Bakersfield Condors, as well as the defensive depth. This is subject to change based on what happens, A, with the Edmonton Oilers, B, with Bakersfield throughout the rest of the season. Well, off season, I guess I should say. And of course, maybe if somebody comes in via trade or whatever. So, Stuart Skinner, Shane Starrett, and Dylan Wells. Obviously, the only name we have to worry about not being on Bakersfield this year upcoming is Shane Starrett, because you have an NHL goaltending injury. He is the man that will be getting that phone call. So that's your goaltending trio right there. You've got Shane Starrett, Stuart Skinner, and Dylan Wells. SSSSDW. That's your team right there. And essentially, Stuart Skinner, 2 out of 3 contract on his NHL deal. Shane Starrett just signed the NHL deal, what was that, June 3rd, way back when. That's been a long time ago. We did a video about that, mind you. And Dylan Wells, who's on year number 2 of 3 from St. Catharines, Ontario. Stuart Skinner, the hometown boy. Then you've got Ethan Bear, who's waiting to maybe break into the NHL this year. He's one of 4 guys on the cusp of filling that defensive spot left by Andre Sekera, so don't lose yourself too much. He may be in the NHL as well. Evan Bouchard, well, duh, he's another guy in there as well. And then, well, Logan Day, the guy that, he's 24, 25-ish. What is going to become of Logan Day in the 2019-2020 season? What does 1920 bring for Logan Day is the question. Is it something where maybe he gets that weird magical call if there's 2 injuries to the defense at some point this season, or if we send back one of the guys and we want to try someone off the board, right? That's the question with Logan Day. We saw what he could do offensively last year. Now, of course, the defense has got to be there. Everything's got to be there to go right. But he got an NHL deal out of the Oilers back on May 21st. So, mind you, he's an option down there in Bakersfield as well. The deal that we have to talk about a little bit today is, of course, Vincent Desharnais, the absolute monster of a kid down there now joining Bakersfield out of college. Well, guys, 216 pounds, 6'6". This kid, absolutely unreal. Not a high draft pick. I think he was the 7th round draft pick if I've got my math right. But absolutely unreal. He's worked his way through college, and now he's ready to compete at the pro level. He signed an AHL deal on July 17th. So today it was signed yesterday, but it's official today. You know how it goes. Sometimes Keith Gretzky can't get pen to paper quick enough, and that is just the nature of the business in the hockey realm when it's confirmed and when it's official. Two different things, two separate entities are reality in the offseason. Then you've got Caleb Jones. Guys, again, back to the Bouchard, back to the Ethan Bear. Those are 2 names, now 3 names, throwing in that conversation of 4 names competing for that spot. Then you've got Jake Kulovich, who's been from the Manitoba Moose, then comes to Bakersfield, and now signed a 1-year deal with the Condors on July 16th. That was yesterday. He's a big defender. He'll be a nice add to the defense in Bakersfield. He was there all last year, and now he'll return to steady Eddie things when we lose 1 or 2 of the guys up to the NHL club at some point. You've got William Legason. We've already talked about him. He's possibly going to be an NHL guy this year, maybe next year. We don't really know the story, but he just needs to keep having a great year down there in Bakersfield and make something happen. That's essentially what all these defenders who are young for the Oilers need to make something happen to prove themselves or become valuable trade assets. That's the other thing they could be as well. You've got Keegan Lowe, the captain. We don't need to talk about him. We know the story there. He's going to be the guy leading us into the fight every single night down there in Bakersfield because that's what he does. And when I mean fight, literally, I mean fight. The guy kicks butt, and there ain't no doubt about that. Obviously, you've got Brandon Manning. Somebody just take this name for a 7th round pick, please. That's all I'm asking. Seriously, I'm tired of saying this name attached to the Edmonton Oilers franchise. It's just my right eye doesn't close all the way now because it's weird twitching. And the one hotshot name we will look very much so forward to having in the AHL level this year, especially as Oilers fans, considering what he did for us at the end of last year in the Memorial Cup run for the Guelph Storm. Yes, Dmitry Samorukov kind of going to look very, very good in Condors orange and blue this upcoming season. So that's your defense and goaltending depth. Now, when you talk about your forward depth, this is where it gets fun because, a couple of these guys might start on the NHL roster given how camp goes and injuries and sort of stuff. You just never know how it goes, right? So, Zap wants to join me for the forwards list. You've got Tyler Benson. Guys, we've talked about him enough. I don't have to talk to him about it. Talk about him again. Condors fans know who he is. Oilers fans know who he is. You know the story. It's a question of if, what, where, when, why at this point for Tyler Benson. You've got Josh Curry, who made his NHL debut last year, looked great early on, kind of faded away, played less minutes, played more minutes. It was what it was for the Oilers down the stretch last year. Luke Esposito, a guy who's signed to an AHL contract on 1 year on June 11th. We'll see what he produces for the AHL team. He's in there just kind of as that AHL depth. Then you've got Cameron Hebig, a guy who by all means could surprise and do something big and get that call up like Josh Curry and Joe Gambardella did this year, but there's a lot of guys ahead of him in line, mind you. Then you've got Joe Gambardella, guys. We all know what he did several times over for the Oilers this year. It's just in terms of bringing that pace and energy that was so infectious down there in Bakersfield. Either way, if he's in the NHL or AHL, he's going to bring that, and that is something to be loved. Heart and hustle. Now you've got Gaetan Oss. Gaetan, who knows what we're doing with him. I imagine if he finds himself in the AHL level, he'll just book it over back to Switzerland, and that's the end of it. Non-roster contracts, and we clear a roster spot kind of deal. Then you've got, Steven Yakovelis. I hope you guys can read that. Basically, he's another AHL guy who will be in there just filling a spot. Then you've got Thomas Yurko, who by all means is going to compete for an NHL spot, should compete for an NHL spot, given what he did in the AHL level last year. Bottom 6 forward could be very valuable. Who knows? We'll wait and see. Then you've got Kirill Maximov, who should be making the jump up to Bakersfield this year. Guys, that's going to be fantastic to see him. He's an exciting sniping name for the Oilers. We'll see what he brings down there in kind of that role that may be vacated by Tyler Benson, in terms of that young, exciting rookie to watch every single night on the team, if you know what I'm going at. And you imagine him paired with a guy like, I don't know, Kyler Yamamoto, Cooper Marody, that kind of line could be fun. Or even give him a chance with Cameron Hebig to find some magic. Now, other than that, you've got Brad Malone down there, you know, consummate pro. He'll be in there doing his thing, leading the group, and then up to the NHL if injuries call. It is the way it goes. Hopefully we don't use Brad Malone in the NHL. Nothing against him, just he ain't the talent we are looking for. And then who else you got there? Cooper Marody, we already know the story there. Ryan McLeod, that's the name that's going to be very exciting, right? You've got Dmitry Samorukov, you've got Kirill Maximov. Well, just, if not more exciting, will be Ryan McLeod to watch his development. Essentially, Tyler Benson, Cooper Marody 2.0. Come in, do a development thing, and just blow it up and see how much he can force the issue down the stretch for the Oilers, depending on what the situation pertains. And then, well, Anthony Peluso, as we talked about, Joakim Nygard, pretty much locked to be on the NHL team. Don't see why he would sign just to go play in the minors at this point. And then you've got Patrick Russell, who, again, great AHL depth, can play NHL, but he'll mostly be filling that role down there in the AHL. Jacob Stuckel, who played a couple of games in the AHL last year, he'll probably find a full-time role this year. And then you've got Nolan Vesey, and of course, Kyler Yamamoto, who hopefully, what we're hoping out of Kyler Yamamoto this year is to go in there and absolutely light the league on fire, come up to the NHL level, light the league on fire per se, and get the job done. Guys, that's where I'm going to cut it for today. That's my look at what the Bakersfield Condors roster currently looks like at this point for the Edmonton Oilers. I'm Tyson, this is Dolynny TV. Let me know your thoughts down below on today's video, and we'll talk all about Condors Shop. Why not? It's a great day to do it, unless, of course, in the past 11 minutes, 12 minutes, Milan Lucic has been traded. Who knows? I'm up on out of here.